Namaste and welcome back to the channel. Today, we are going to see about the National Institutional Ranking Framework, the overview and the background of the framework. So beginning with, what do we mean by NIRF or what is NIRF? As we know, NIRF basically stands for the National Institutional and Ranking Framework. And this is an innovative strategy that the Ministry of the Human Resource and Development, that is the MHRD, approved and launched on 20th of September 2015. This NIRF provides a mechanism to rank the higher educational institution based on some pre-established set criteria, which is done on annual basis. This framework outlines a methodology to rank the institution across the country. The methodology draws an overall recommendation based on the board that is understanding arrived by a core committee which was been set up by the MHRD. In this these parameters have been broadly classified for ranking various universities, institutions, and these parameters cover teaching learning resources, research and professional practice, graduational outcomes, outreach and inclusivity, and perception. Now, let us see why it was a need for the government to decide or to go for this NIRF ranking. Now, before the NIRF ranking was launched, this particular ranking was done by some private entities or the news magazines. In 2016 to 2018, this particular ranking was done on the voluntary basis, and later it was made compulsory for all the government organizations or government-run institutes. As we know that NIRF releases its ranks on annual basis, so it makes a base for the higher education institutions, that it makes a platform and it is a continuous process as it can hold the rank in the next or the upcoming years also. So if we see about the birth of this NIRF, when we see that the global ranking, so the Indian government was a little bit upset because our Indian higher educational institutes were not that much competent to compete at the global levels. And like, for example, if you take the QS and Times higher education rankings, especially these were where they were also lacking. In 2015, during the winter session parliament, the session was chaired by the minister, Ms. Shriti Irani madam, and she raised this issue and she proposed the ranking to be made for the Indian higher educational institutions, so that the every educational institution can continuously work, prepare to the world level criteria, and in turn this HEI can help in competing at the global levels. Similarly, it was the case with the China also, and China also took a similar decision where they introduced a ranking called as Shanghai ranking. Shanghai ranking, which helped the higher educational institutions to work them at a global level criteria. Therefore, in India also, we have made an Indian-based or Indian suitable ranking framework. So the quality can be enhanced at the higher educational institutions, and that becomes the core for them for the future ranking also. And research being a center point, it is very important for any higher education institutions. That's why it helps in getting the much more weightages in the ranking criteria. So if we see what is the primary objective, why do we need to get the NIRF rankings? If we see the NIRF ranking basically enhances the overall quality of the higher education so that it can acknowledge the institution so that they excel in the various areas. Then ranking mechanism also provides us valuable insights to our stakeholders which include our students, our researchers, our parents, policymaker, and also the industrialists. As we have a benchmark, the Indian HEIs can also compete against the global standards. Through the ranking frameworks, it helps to encourage the institution to more improvise themselves in the teaching, research, and as well as infrastructure also. Then, with the help of the ranking, it helps to create a healthy competition environment among the universities and the institution. In addition, it also enhances the accountability through the public and the public data disclosure. Most importantly, this NIRF ranking also ensures that the institutes function effectively to meet their goals so that they can improve their academic and non-academic activities also. The major purpose of this NIRF is to promote the quality education, research, and the transparency, which helps the students and the policymakers to come for the data-driven decisions. Now let us see what are the parameters and their weightages in the NIRF. So if you see an overview for the university, the summary ranking parameters which they are giving for the universities, it has been divided into five categories where in each parameter or in the each matrices, they are having the weightages. So if we come to the parameter of the teaching, learning and resources, it carries a weightage of 100 marks with the 30% of weightage or 0.3%. And in case of research, productivity, their impact, that is the IPR, it again carries a weightage of 100 with a weightage of 0.40, that is 40%. And the graduate outcomes, again 100 with 0.05% of the weightage. Outreach and inclusivity also carries 100 with 15% of weightage. And the perception has 100 marks with a 10% of weightage. And in case with the colleges, it is little bit the deviation, little bit the weightage is differing from the each category, where we saw in the teaching, learning resources, now here in the college it is 40%, wherein with the research, productivity and impact, it is 20%, and graduated outcomes is 15, and outreach and inclusive, it is 15, and perception is again 10%. So even there are various categories in which the NIRF is ranking, and in various categories we will be seeing in the upcoming slides also. So majorly the weightage majorly measures, and the more weightage is based on the research and the teaching learning part. So if we compare the parameters of this NIRF with the parameters of the NAAC and the NBA, here we see the teaching learning resources wherein which the weightage of the NIRF ranking is around 30 to 40%, but in the NAAC it is 15%, whereas it is in NBA it is 13%. Similarly with the research, 30, 10, and it is 10, and with the graduated outcomes it is 20, then 5% and 8%. Outreach and inclusivity, it is 10 in NIRF and 0.1 in NAAC, whereas there is no any weightage in the NBA. Similarly, with the perception, it is only with the NIRF ranking, but not in the NAAC and NBA. So as I already told, the NIRF has been categorized itself and been ranking various colleges also. So it ranks in overall category, it ranks for the universities, it ranks for the colleges, it ranks for the research institutions, engineering, management, pharmacy, medical, dental, law, architecture, agriculture, and also the innovation, which is newly introduced. So here are some of the top institutions of 2023, wherein overall institutions have been rated. That is the Indian Institutes of Science, Bangalore is the first, and the second would be in the engineering criteria, also IIT Madras, IIT Delhi. So when we see about the data collection process, majorly the data of 3-year data is need to be captured, and that should be kept in an open public domain on the university or the institutional website. The NIRF designated teams cross-checks this particular data whenever we are filing the data. So where the institutional submissions, which are mandatory for the public HEIs, and Even the research and all has been evaluated through the third party apps like Scoopers, Web of Science, InfluNet and all. And perception surveys are also being conducted from the various stakeholders or the employers or the academicians or the peer or institutes also. This all data collected is being designately collected, and this would be cross-checked by the NIRF teams, and NIRF also tells that it should be a public disclosure and should be kept open in an open domain. It should be freely accessible. Then, if there are any false data to be found, there would be penalization or even the debar of that particular HEI also. Now, how the NIRF benefits? The NIRF basically benefits for the students for comparing the institutions on the standardized matrices because basically placement or outcome is one of the major source also. For institution, it identifies the strengths, weaknesses, and it also helps to overcome the challenges and threats also. In that way, it helps and at the country level or the India level, it helps for the global reputation in the education and it improves the visibility and reputation of the institution also. And in turn, it helps in attracting the students and the faculty. It influences for the gaining of the funds, grants from the sources like DBT, DST, or ISSR. There are many platforms where the fundings have been given to the institutions. So NRF good rankings also help us to get the funds also. And it also encourages the data-driven improvements by comparing up themselves with the benchmarks. Now coming to how an institution or how a college or an HEI can prepare for this NIRF. So every institute should have its own NIRF committee or a team, I mean to say, for the above mentioned parameters. This committee will function in their area so that they can manage the data effectively and efficiently, and they can be stored properly whenever the need of the data would be there. So it can be restored back and can be uploaded. So maintenance and updation of the records every year based on the given parameters is one of the essential thing where the committee members play an essential role. In addition, the HEI also has to promote their faculty members to increase or to promote good research papers, or even the faculty development program needs to be organized. This type of faculty development programs, especially with the IPR or patent filings, can also help in increasing the number because the more weightage is given to the research. In addition, for the perception and all, we can improvise the alumni engagement, employer engagement, and in order to cross-check the data which has been accumulated from the HEI, from the various departments, we need to have a regular audits or mock sessions or regular checks in order to cross-check the data given by the various departments or accumulated from the departments. NIRF faces many challenges. That is, due to the NRF, the institutions are facing certain challenges and criticisms. So what are the limitations? Biasness towards the larger or older institution with more resources is one of the biggest limitation which the institutes face. And in the perception matrices, it can be subjective because even there is a limited focus on the occasional education. Now let us speak about being an health educational institution. What is the role of the educational institution so that it can improvise their ranking criteria? So here are some enlisted techniques, or you may say the how an educational institute can prepare itself for improvising the NIRF ranking. Speaking with the pedagogical techniques, in the pedagogical techniques, for example, we can implement the courses in the blended learning methodologies, both in offline and online modes, or even you can use the tools like smart classrooms, or you can use the Moodle classrooms, or the institutional LMS or the HES LMS can also be used. And the promotion of the case-based learnings, experiential learnings are also some of the part of the pedagogical techniques. The second thing wherein which we can improve is with the transparency of the admissions. Now, how we can maintain the transparency in the admissions? Every institute should have a clear, that is to it has to maintain a clear cut of marks, and the admission policies to be in place that should also be publicly available on the website. So the HEI also can use some online admission portals for taking the merit based intake also. Then displaying the category by selection list with a full transparency is also one of the essential thing in maintaining the transparency in the admissions. Thirdly, varied vocational courses can also be started by the HEIs. Like for example, we can offer some add-on certificate courses in subjects like for in engineering and all, they can offer with data sciences, AI, digital marketing programs and all. Then the HEI can also partnership with the NSDC or any some Skill India recognized skill programs also, wherein which it helps with the increasing the skill of the students also. In addition, certain integrative vocational electives can also be embedded into the degree curriculum while revision of the syllabus. Then the next point is that the student counseling. So every HEI institute has to set its own educational or we may say a dedicated counseling cell with the trained psychologist is also one of the essential part that can help the students in the counseling also. Regularly, the HEI needs to conduct the guidance seminars or the career guidance seminars and also the mental health workshop, which is also one of the essential part in which the student counseling can be done. Then offering the personal mentorship programs by the faculty is also one of the example for the student counseling. Now, coming to our collaborations and MOUs with the industry, for the same, the HEA can sign an MOUs with a good reputed companies like Infosys, TCS, IBM, etc. And they can also organize the industry-led training or guest lectures pertaining to the collaborations. In addition, some live projects can be encouraged, and internship collaborations are also the part of this collaborations and MOU. Next, the how we can increase the technical and social internship. If we facilitate the internship in the core technical companies, or even if we help them to make the startups also, that could be also one of the best example. And also promoting through the NGO-based social internship under NSS or the Unnat Bharat are some of the example wherein which we can increase the technical and social internship. Then we can also try to implement the summer internship programs for the students so that they can be helpful for the students. Now, the next area where we can focus is on the staff recruitment and the retention. So now recruitment and retention. We can hire the faculty who are much more qualified, that is the PhD candidates, especially with a good research background also. Then we have to also identify the competitive pay in the market, and we have to ensure to give them the competitive pay, then giving the research incentives, some promotion policies. These are can be helping in the retention of the faculty. Then recurrently organizing the faculty development programs, providing the sabbaticals for their upliftment of the careers and all some of the examples in the staff recruitment and retention. Then various research funds. We have to, as already discussed with the teaching and all, and even in the staff retention and this one, we need to provide the faculties with the good, I mean to say, promote them for applying the grants in the DST, UGC, AICT, then DBT. So helping them and promoting them also could be one of the best example where we can fetch the research funds because research is having also a good weightage in this NIRF ranking. You can also help the faculty members for getting the minor projects in-house by providing certain seed money also. Then encouraging the interdisciplinary proposals and international collaborations can be also some of the examples in the various research fronts criteria. Next, regarding the patents and transfer of technology, where in which the HEI can help the faculty members to file their patents or any innovation ideas and make them to bring to the commercialization. So every HEI can set up an IPR cell where it can support the faculty in filing those patents also. Then the pre-placement activities. The pre-placement activities are very essential also because whenever a company or whenever any placement drives comes, many a time it happens with the students that they may not be much competent to face those interviews. So in this situation, so I can think on it the lacunas where the students are facing, and accordingly the HEI can conduct some mock interviews, resume building workshops, or even aptitude training can also be done. Then even they can partner with certain placement training firms for their final year students, and maintaining the strong alumni network to support the placement is also a good example for the pre-placement drives. So with these things, how we can uplift our number in the parameters so that we can go for a good ranking. So in conclusion, NIRF drives the transparency, competition, and the quality in the Indian education system. Continuous refinement is needed to address this type of disparities so that we can ensure equitable growth. Lastly, I end with a quote: rankings are not the end, but the means of the excellence. Thank you. Any suggestions can be dropped in the feedback or the comment section. Thank you once again.